Throne and Liberty. Some more great news coming from Throne and Liberty, the great MMORPG open world game that was supposed to release this year but was delayed to next year because of the horrible experiences in the beta. But they've come back with some very good news, and today we get direct information from the producer of the game, and for the first time they've shown some in-game footage of the new changes they have made. So they got this article right here, and this is directly from the producers of Throne and Liberty. So most of these things, or probably everything that is mentioned here, is probably going to be on the global launch. They're also having under NDA closed beta for America starting next week, I think. But this is the information that we have right now. They talked about removing autoplay completely and auto move together, which is great. Combat system revamp, I talked a little bit about it last time, but I wasn't so sure how much changes that we were going to see. But from what we can see in this article that we'll get back to, is that they're making some massive changes, which is very impressive how they were able to change so much of the game in such a short time. More skills, so they want to have more skills. We're going to talk more about this too. More skills to use in the early stages of the game, so you don't feel like you cannot play your character fully early game. More fluid weapon swapping, because in this game it's like kind of like New World, you have two weapons that you can swap between, and it was very clunky. It didn't work really good in the beta, but from what they've shown in the new gameplay trailer, it looks amazing. Other than that, faster skill growth, but let's just jump right into it. Okay, this guy, he talks about, he's a producer of Throne and Liberty, and he's talking a little bit about the beta. You know, because Throne and Liberty was supposed to be the next big MMORPG that was supposed to take the cake of every MMORPG ever, right? And it came to the beta, massive fail. It was very clunky, and they said they took the criticism and they realized that it was a wake-up call to them, and they had to make some massive changes if people were going to actually enjoy and play their game. So, which is great, because some developers, some producers, they just launch the game anyways, even if they get really negative feedback. So them taking time to make those changes and listen to the community is big, because it means that they will most likely listen to the community in the future too. So he's saying that they're changing definitely the combat, so you can move while attacking, more fluid, because as we know, in the last beta, you couldn't move while attacking, you couldn't chase somebody that just ran away from you in a straight line. The progression was super slow. So they're talking about the combat. Now, before we talk a little bit more of combat, I want to show you guys this. This is what they released. It's like unlisted, short unlisted video, and look at this combat. Look how much better this looks. And this, you see the swap? He swaps to the greatsword right here. So you see how fluid it is? Like they're swapping between weapons. Like, look at this again. This guy, he's using those fast blades, and then jumps away and starts using those muskets or those crossbows, whatever. And it looks so good. Like, this is like a full-on change from the beta. Look at the movement, like it looks amazing. So it's actually wild. I did not believe this at all when I first read about them changing combat. I didn't think it would be that good. I think they would make like some changes, but it actually feels or looks very good. So that is massive for the game. So they're overall talking about lack of freedom of movement and control, because they were trying to go for their excuses that because of the massive PP wars, they couldn't have like full movement, because it would probably like mess up the massive wars. But because of the complaints, they're redoing it so you can actually feel free and have the freedom of your character when you're actually playing, which is great. So they changed the overall combat system to allow attacks on the go. Big. Remove collision between characters in areas except conflict zones. So in conflict zones, there will be collision, probably like guild wars, massive guild versus guild battles. There will be collision between characters, but in other ways there won't be. Minimize the effect of applied inertia when changing directions to make controls more responsive. So great stuff so far. We like to see all this stuff. So they're making those changes. The changes are already made, and which is looking away from like the combat, because overall I think The combat stuff, great choice so far. I like everything that they're saying, and what I really like is they're adding not only new skills to the combat, which is great, but also making like the switch between weapons way more fluid, which is very important because you want to be able to use those two weapons and feel like it is an advantage to use those two weapons. But in the beta, I didn't feel like that. It was because it was so clunky, but they made it way better, so the gameplay might be so much better with having the fluid combat while being able to swap weapons when you want. So great stuff so far from the article on the combat. So I really like that, making a lot of deep changes this late to the game, which is very cool. I did not expect it at all. Now when it comes to gearing up in the game, it was very slow, very repetitive quests, autoplay. They're moving completely the autoplay, so there'll be no autoplay after you actually manually play it, but it won't be as grinding as I was talking about the last video. But here we got like a proper answer. They're gonna reduce like the early leveling. They were talking about this down here. The time to level 30 in the beta has been reduced by 1/3, so it'll be way faster to level up. And the time to level 50, the open start, has been reduced by 1/10. So still a long time, which is good, but they made it less repetitive and way more engaging to actually gear up and level up in this game. And you'll be able to use more skills very early on, so the combat won't feel as boring. So you'll be able to switch, use many skills, use your weapons, and learn the combat in the game very early on, which is overall amazing. And not only that, they're also adding, because everything in this game is large scale, right? The wars, guild wars, the territory wars, the raids, the world bosses, everything is large scale. And what we didn't see in the beta, which they are adding the global launch, like they say here, is they're going to be party instances. Dungeon require a limited number of players, so probably like 4-man or 5-man dungeons that will probably require strategy and require smaller parties, because it's not only like when you're playing MMO, you want to be able to play it in smaller scale too, not only those massive fights, but also do dungeons with your core group or with your friends. So they're adding that, and that's going to be a really good PvE and co-op experience in the game. So overall, great news from what we've seen. They're going to be testing this. Of course, they have already implemented this into the game, and they're going to probably test this during the closed beta that is coming up. Unfortunately, we will be able to see much of it. And they're just making a lot of good changes to the game. So in my opinion, from what we've seen so far, the game is definitely savable for sure. Massive changes, because the overall content, I talked about this in my last video too, the overall content in Throne and Liberty is amazing. The massive wars, the weather system that changes terrain, the dual swap weapons, being able to wield different weapons, the mass scale PvPs. So a lot of the game looked very good. The world looks absolutely beautiful, but they had some core issues which we've seen that they're tackling. But my main question still to this day is great, but why haven't they talked anything about the monetization? Because that's what I want to know. And a lot of people have had questions about the monetization, and we have asked these questions about the monetization, but they have refused to answer. They talked about the combat, they talked about the exploration, they talked about the progression, which were main concerns, but the monetization was also a main concern. So what's going to happen with the monetization? Are they going to also reduce the monetization? Because a lot of monetization was built around the autoplay, but they're removing the autoplay. So what's going to happen to the monetization, right? How are they going to make money? Is it going to be pay to win? I guess we'll have to find out or get some more news about this. But overall, great. I am loving what I'm seeing in this the combat looks so good. Like I kind of want to like put it on like 0.5 real quick. Look at this combat. Like look, being able to move, dodge, it looks so clean. Like look at so much movement they made. It's so impressive to me, and I love this this change. Like look at this, he's using like the wand and then he swaps to the great sword. I think it looks so fluid, looks so good. I'm so excited to play this. Like, it completely changed my mind on Throne and Liberty. Like before I was like, yeah, this is gonna be like a game I'm gonna play for like mostly a week, but now it actually looks like I'm gonna be investing time into the game. So let me know what you guys think. Throne and Liberty, some massive news to drop today. Are you guys excited for the combat? Have you guys pre-registered and are you gonna be playing the beta? Let me know in the comments below. I'm excited for the global launch, which will be in 2024, probably Q1, while the Eastern launch will be in December. Thank you so much for watching. Give me a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.